blowing. You know, he's telling his peers, like our doctors and lawyers and stuff, you know, because that's his you know, where he lives. He says, "Oh, Dr. McCullough, you can't use wood chips. It's all tight match make you so sick." He wouldn't quit. He has a scientist that is his advisor. This guy sat him down and showed him that in wood chips, everything the soil needs is there. And it creates these funguses that travel for miles underground that bring up all this stuff. I mean, he is so blown away at the potential of this. And see, I've been trying to write a book to help people do garden, but all I know is, you know, biochar and compost tea. But now I realize this can be done anywhere in the world. It's all free, and this could just set people free. So he is like totally going berserk. You know, he's just awesome.
And who was that again?
Dr. McCullough.
McCullough.
Yeah, you can look up it. It's McCullough.com. He has like 2.5 million people a month on his website.
Wow.
He is like, he's really, very, very well known. You guys know Dr. McCullough? Yeah. Yeah, he's very, very well known.
M-E-R-C-O-L-A.
M-I-R-C-O-L-A.
Yeah.
And, you know, he like in 2012 put out a list of 12 things you should no longer eat, apples being the first on the list. He's just very conscious about, you know, health and try to get people to live right and be well, you know. He's just a really neat man, but it's like, he's just like, this is what I've been looking for my whole life. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So are we starting up here?
We're going to start up here, yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's go this way. Right.
And the city, they were trimming the trees and all in the neighborhood, and they had a truckload. I asked them if I could have some of it. They said, hey, well, you got to take the whole truckload.
Yeah, we want to get rid of it.
I said, oh, well, that's fine by me.
Yeah, you know, their perspective is something they got to have to unload. They got a job tomorrow, and they usually have to pay to dump it. They're looking for people to get rid of it.
But it has a lot of the leaves in there. That's okay, right?
The leaves are ideal. That's the ideal.
Yeah.
You see, it's leaves, the green material, needles and leaves that give the immediate input to the soil. So the wood chips laying on top acts as a cover and support to that. But those needles and leaves are where all the life is. Here, track with me. The Creator, every fall, puts a covering of needles and leaves over the whole planet, every fall. Why? Because as the plants took out of the ground minerals to create needles and leaves, it has to be replaced. There's such a balance in nature. It's so perfectly ordered. And what do? We're out raking the leaves off and hauling them off. Right. And the ground below gets cracked and hard. And how stupid! And
then we go buy Miracle Grow instead.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
You know,
no, I don't.
Which is a chemical. It's not even a miracle. You know, it's just for example, look at the foliage. The outer foliage, the interior is starting to turn brown because it's been a dry summer and it's going to flag and feed itself. Look how deep green the foliage is on those sequoia trees. Miracle Grow won't even approach that. I don't care how much you use. And that's all being maintained on their own needles. This is what I think is so awesome about the Creator. You see right now, these conifers do not naturally drop their needles. I mean, because they're evergreens. You know how the Creator gets them to do it? He sends a good hot dry summer like we've had, and the interior needles turn brown, and then he sends a wind. It's all that's on the ground. When it's done, the trees look like nothing came out, they didn't lose anything, and you have this beautiful cover on the ground that's feeding and supporting the soil. I'm just telling you, when you start tracking and observing the genius of the Creator and how he does stuff, you stand in awe at the wisdom. It is so awesome, the wisdom. You know? And again, the results. Look at the color of that foliage. Look how green. It's just like, come on. It's like and it's all maintained on their own needles. No fertilizer. If I pick up those needles and hold my hand and tell you this is the finest fertilizer plant, you think I'm stupid, but look at the results.
So when I put a new layer of mulch on top, should I make it a thick layer? Or?
What are you using it for?
This
A garden?
is our first. We're only done
now,
the first
in a
time.
garden space, no more than 4 inches max.
Right.
Because you got to pull it back to plant in the soil.
Right.
More than 4 inches is allowed to pull back. We have established trees, put as thick as you want, because their roots are in the ground. You don't have to expose the ground. So I put wood chips in this orchard here 14 years ago, 16 inches deep.
Whoa.
And I put it right to the tree trunks, which they say you can't, which is stupid. But I've done nothing since. 14 years I've had total abundance. And look at the color of the foliage on these trees. Look how dark green. And this is August. And look at the tips putting on new growth, acting like they're not slowing down. And these are dwarf trees that aren't supposed to grow big. You see all these uprights? This is 1 year's growth. Just 1 year, and they're dwarf. You know, and look at the color. I know people who foliar feed don't get this.
So you haven't added any new wood chips since then?
I haven't done anything to this space for 14 years.
Okay.
I'm going to add now because it's getting down. I'm starting to put grass clippings there first. I'll put wood chips over it, but this winter I'm going to get this whole area covered. But it's just, again, just dramatic how awesome it works. You know, the stupid, I tell you, don't put the wood chips up around tree trunks. How dumb. What an irritant to have to maintain a little space around your tree to have wood chips, all kinds of garbage and stuff goes in there. You ever been in the woods in the winter and you look at the trees that are out there? When the wind blows, needles and leaves bank up against tree trunks a foot, foot and a half deep. No one pulls that away. The trees are fine. I just don't get where they're coming from. The stuff's full of air. It's not going to suffocate. What is wrong with them? The stupid stuff they tell you just blows. And they make it so hard, create all these things you got to do that are counterproductive for nothing. So just be free. Just put it anywhere you want. Put it as thick as you want, and just don't listen to people. Don't tell people what you're doing because they'll just confuse you and give you stupid lies, you know, that don't work.
So if we want to garden on our sod that's already there, can we just put
On the sod that's already there, grass is a great fertilizer. Don't take it out.
Yeah.
Put paper.
Put paper.
Newspaper, or you can get these rolls of paper at Home Depot or Lowe's, and roll it out. Put the wood chips on top of that 4 inches deep right now, and next spring the paper's gone, the grass is gone, you pull the wood chips back, you have the most beautiful, soft, damp ground. You can plant it in, you have the best garden you ever had. It's that simple.
Even if it's mossy.
Doesn't matter. All that stuff is green, and when it breaks down, it creates life.
Okay.
See, you ever notice the Creator takes something off the earth?
Yeah.
Excuse me? Everything He created turns back to dirt. It's a beautiful recycling program. It's genius. He made nothing toxic. Everything He makes turns back to dirt. I love it, man. It's such a genius idea. And here we're out there ripping stuff off, throwing it away, working so hard to fail. It's pathetic.
Let's save our newspapers. Yeah, don't give it
You
up.
know, because we went to school and they erased our brains, we don't think anymore. It's just terrible, man.
So
Is it okay to put, like, we have already the first year garden all set, already had our harvest and all that, and everything is dying down, so I'm waiting for it to tie down, and tear them out, let it dry, and use them
Oh,
as mulch,
yeah.
whatever.
Can we
But
put them
is
through the chopper?
You could, yeah. It makes it nice.
Is it okay to also put more compost on top or not?
On top of the wood chips?
Yeah,
Sure.
you can, right?
And whatever you do, layer. Never mix.
Right.
Never put it
Put a
under.
layer of
Whatever you have,
compost.
put on top and get out of there. You ever notice the Creator doesn't till, doesn't mix, He just layers? Excuse me? And all this stupid stuff we do, tilling and mixing, is so counterproductive. And we worked hard to fail. We work hard to make a mess. Just whatever you have, put on top and get out of there. Go home. Enjoy yourself. Keep it simple, very simple, and if you start working hard and it gets difficult, you're off track, because it's not that way. I'm telling you from experience. I've been doing this for, like, you know, let's say I'm 60, I started at 5 and 64, so like, what, 59 years. And I worked hard. As kids, my dad, we wore out shovels as kids, hand spading clay ground. The blades got thin and broke because we wore them out, because it's hard ground. So I know the hard work end of it. I'm just telling you, man, it's not like that. It's not how it's supposed to be. See this rake here? This is the only tool I use in the garden for everything. I plant trees with this. Just pull the wood chips back and put them in, because the ground moves. It's so convenient. It's so easy. This thing of having to dig and fight ground is just like insanity. In nature, there's no hard ground. It only happens to take the skin off the earth.
Now, since we're in Florida, and sometimes there's a real long dry spell, do we water?
If you need to, but track with me. In Florida, when you have a real long dry spell, do you have any wild native places there that no one's messed with, like trees? Ever have any forest area in Florida?
Yeah, but it's posted, some of it.
How do they do in the dry season?
They're doing fine.
They don't.
Get it. Get it. There is a covering. There's a skin on the ground, and they're not affected by drought. It's so simple. Nothing in nature is bothered by drought. They may have leaves turn a little bit, or like this, or turning brown, but they'll fall off. Nothing's affected. And it's so brain dead how we think, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. Well, come on, look at nature. I'm just telling you, man, it's so simple, when this film came out in 2013, the Midwest had a major drought that year, and the girls who did the film had traveled from Pennsylvania to California, and they called me because they were we drove across the Midwest. We went through hundreds of miles of dead cornfields. Totally standing dead cornfields, just dried up. And we couldn't believe it. Somebody didn't call some people who live there. He says, oh, we saw your film last summer, fall, and they put wood chips in our garden. We have the best garden we've ever had in our lives. The cucumbers and tomatoes are just abundant, and our watermelon will take it over the whole garden. They're out in our grass. We can't even stop this stuff. And their comment was very interesting. And we can't believe how little we water. We hear the farmers saying they're watering day and night, everything's dying. We go out after to water our garden, pull the witches back, and it's damp underneath. And we can't believe how little we have to water. I love it. I'm just telling you, man, the design, the covering is so significant. And again, nature's always had droughts, but everything in nature survives because there's a skin on the earth. And you don't take the skin off. It's so simple. It's so like, what's wrong with us?
You know what, maybe you can tell me something. I'm fighting with that one. I have apple trees. And our leaves are curling up and some dying, you know?
Because they're dehydrated.
What?
They're dehydrated. You see these leaves here?
Mhm.
They don't appear to be curling up and dying.
Not this one. No, not everyone, just only some. See?
They're saying, listen to me, everybody hear me clearly, when a plant is failing and insects are bothering it, it's telling you, I'm dehydrated. Really.
So then do you
Bugs
water?
will never, yeah, if you have no other option, water.
Because our aphids took over our
Aphids always go after dehydrated plants. And as soon as you water, they'll leave. Can I tell you why I have no insects bothering my plants? When insect bites into my plant, they drown. You're going to find that everything you eat here is loaded with water. See, insects want cellulose and fiber, so they go after dehydrated, stressed plants. You know what God showed me was interesting? I always, you know, they tell you in school that insects are pests. That's how they're defined. And I says, you know, God, I don't get that because that doesn't line up with your character. Your nature is love, that's your essence, and you do all things well. What's this deal about pests? That's just not who you are. He says, they're not pests, they're my police force. I created insects to take out stressed, dehydrated, unhealthy plants so only healthy plants produce seed and maintain healthy plants. If unhealthy plants could continue to grow and produce seed, the plant would become extinct. And so God uses insects to get rid of all the unhealthy, dehydrated, stressed stuff so the healthy stuff produce seed and maintain a healthy plant life forever. I'm just,
You don't
Yeah,
deal
you-
with any apple pests?
look, they're here. Find them for me.
Yeah.
When I came, I had all of them. And today, I have none because my ground is good. And I've
No
watched,
wireworms, no...
I have nothing. Because
yeah.
I'm telling you, just like track with me, your body's the same. When you eat well, are properly hydrated, get good rest, you can be around people sneezing, coughing, whatever, it doesn't touch you because your immune system's working. Same is true in nature. When things are healthy, they're not vulnerable to disease. Disease only takes out weak, unhealthy material. Period. That's the design. It's that.
And
It's
you don't use any sprays, not malathion?
why malathion? Why would I'm raising food so it's not poisonous.
I know.
Malathion is toxic. It goes into the roots and takes out the tree.
Yeah.
That's why Dr. McCullough in 2012 says 12 things you don't want to eat. The first list were apples because it's so poisonous. And I had the most interesting experience. I had a little 9-year-old boy come in on a tour a couple of years ago. He walks up to me and telling people, you guys can help yourself. These apples are ripe now. Now today they're not, so they're not ripe. Don't pick them because they're not ripe. But I says you can have apples because they're good. This little kid tells us, I'm allergic to apples. I can't eat apples. The little boy says, let me tell you something, young man. You're not allergic to apples. The apples are toxic. They're poison, and your body's trying to protect you from the poisons. You're reacting to the poison, not the apple. So while you're here today, you can eat all you want. You're not allergic to them. You don't understand. My throat swells up. I says, I understand. That's poison. These aren't. So he's watching these people eat these Akani apples and saying, can you believe the flavor? Can you smell this? Look at all the water that's going on. And this kid's watching this, you know, he's like, he just can't contain himself, so he gets one. He's 3/4 of the way through and he starts yelling at the top of his lungs, I'm not reacting. I'm allergic to apples. I'm not reacting. I love it, you know. It's just, God is awesome. He made nothing bad. Everything's perfect. And when you have reacting to something, it's not that. It's not you. It's that. The things, and your body's trying to protect you because it's poisonous. The poison's in it, you know, and all. This is what's so, you know, it's so awesome. The value of what I have here is beyond expression. Everything you're eating, all of you, is totally toxic and killing you in the store. Everything. They're finding the chemical in Roundup is now showing up in mother's milk. It's in mother's milk because it's in all your food. And all of you are eating totally toxic, deadly stuff that's taken out your life. You're saying now this next generation, these kids coming up now will not live as long as their parents. They're saying that. They're upfront about it. Because our food is so toxic, you know. So growing your own food, that's why you're here today, to show you how simple it is. Growing your own food is going to be a real asset, not only economically, but for health, for longevity, because you're not going to get good food in the store. It doesn't exist. It does not exist.
You know, one more thing I want to ask you. That is on my daughter's place. Previous owner planted that apple trees. And what they did, they put some covering over between the trees, that netting, and they put some bunch of gravel on top, rocks on top of that one. How much that would be affecting a tree itself?
Put wood chips over the rocks and leave the rocks because the rocks are minerals. Rocks are beneficial. Don't take the rocks off.
Not how about us?
Put wood chips over the rocks
Yeah.
so you can get more life to the soil, but leave the rocks there.
What I did over here, you see, all the grass clipping, what I cut down, I just put that one
That's
over.
great, perfect.
Yeah.
You're doing good.
Yeah.
Whatever live material you have, and all of you have is rocks, let me tell you about rocks. This just shows you how they sent you to school and erase your brain so you don't think. All of you take rocks out of your garden. Are you following me? And all of you have driven along mountain passes and seen these beautiful fir, hemlocks, pine trees, dark green, totally thriving, growing out of solid rock. Are you tracking? Everybody
Oh
hearing
yeah,
me?
oh yeah.
And you go home convinced you got to take rocks out of your garden. What are rocks? Minerals. Excuse me?
The heat.
Minerals. Concentrated minerals is what you want in the ground for your plants, and you're taking them out. That's as stupid as taking money out of the bank and throwing it away. Really. So rocks in your garden is great. Just cover with wood chips and you're fine. Leave them there. They're in Japan, where they don't have a lot of organic material and they're more as a culture connected to nature, the Japanese meticulously lay around all their plantings rock, meticulous, ordered, to retain moisture and release minerals. When I was a kid in Los Angeles, want to go fishing on a hot August day, good luck finding worms. The ground's baked. LA is a desert. You don't find any worms, but if you find a large rock like that and you roll it over, underneath it's damp and there's worms. It says two things. One, the rock retains moisture, and two, it releases mineral to feed the worms. It's so obvious, so simple, and because we went to school and we don't think anymore, we do all these stupid things. You know, it's just